Starting the ocean race was fantastic. Fantastic, so exciting. The problem with, and I'm not going to tell you about every single day, but the very worst day was the absolute pits. Absolute pits. We were wanting to row 5,000 kilometres that way, rowing backwards as you do. But what was happening was that these head currents came up and headwinds came up and tried pushing us back to the start line. And we had a GPS in front of us that showed us how fast we were going. Now, Kevin and I had a shift pattern that every single minute of the day someone was rowing. Every single minute of the day someone was meant to be rowing, and sometimes both of us. But that was what our routine was like. But the storms and winds started coming up. We had an alternative, and there were 19 other crews that were going through this. We had an alternative. The first option was to put out a big sea anchor like a parachute. Put that in the water, and the wind tries pushing you backwards, but it can't because you're gripping a hold of some ocean. But those head currents were there, remember, and it was actually going to start dragging us backwards. So we'd rowed 100 kilometres into the race. It was a little bit disturbing knowing that we weren't moving anywhere, rowing into those currents on the GPS, and we still had 4,900 to go. And we thought, well, what's the alternative? And of course the alternative was to keep on rowing. Keep on rowing. And so for the next 36 or almost 48 hours, we kept on rowing and we didn't go anywhere. We did not go anywhere. Now every 12 hours, a signal went from each boat up to the headquarters and they put it on the internet. And you could see as you sort of logged in, people back home could see where we were compared to everyone else. And you know what? We rang up Rob Hamill, this manager of ours, and we said, Rob, how far behind are we? How far behind are we, Rob? We haven't gone anywhere in almost 2 days. How far behind the rest of the fleet are we? You know what Rob said to us? And I've never forgotten it. He said, fellas, don't stop whatever you're doing. Every single other crew put out that sea anchor and now you're 30 miles in front because they all went backwards. Isn't that fantastic news? We haven't gone anywhere and now we're leading this race. I thought this was brilliant. There was two things that I remembered from that race. After 40 days of rowing, we were 30 miles in front on day 2. Guess what the distance was? We won the race. Guess what the distance was between first and second place? 30 miles. The difference that made us was some of those tiny decisions on day 2 and those storms. The thing I realised about that day 2 trip was that the tough environment was the same for everyone. It was the same for everyone. We had to change our problem-solving technique or the way we thought based on relativity with everyone else, not on the tough environment. You know, the OCR is changing all the time, credit crunch, everything's happening, but it's happening to everyone. You know, everyone's feeling the pinch, but it's everyone that's feeling the pinch. The more laterally that you can think is actually kind of benefit to you over time.